Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to be building out one more private function and then several other public functions. Okay, so at the very top of our render text input, I'm going to create a new private function. And we have to have a way to render these individual inputs because we don't know exactly what type of input's going to be called. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this render input, and this is going to take a name and input, and there we go. Okay. And we're going to take in a type. By default, I'm going to set this, because most of our types are going to be inputs anyways, I'm just going to call this input. So we're going to say $attributes is equal to $options, or input options, and then we're going to say $attributes type, and I'm going to set that equal to the input type. Like so. Okay. And last but not least, $attributes is equal to the name, or that attribute's name is equal to name. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a switch statement. So switch $type PE, like so. So in the first case, we're going to check to see if it's a checkbox. And our default case, we're going to just return the input, but we're not going to be returning a component like this. Instead, we're going to return $this render text input, and we're going to take in the name and an input, and then we're going to do the same one for the checkbox, and then we're going to create a new case. And we'll call this for file input, and then we'll create a new case for hidden. So hidden input, and then we'll do radio, turn the radio input, and then do select, and then return the select input, and then we'll do text area, actually. So render the text area, and now submit, and render the submit. So we can add as many different functions to render that you want, but these are the few that I chose. You can add more. This is your project if you want to. And all you have to do is add the case to the switch once you create the function. Okay, so now it's time to actually start creating all the public functions. And there are going to be quite a few. The first one we're going to create is to add an input. So public function, add input, and keep in mind that this add input will be used for select and whatever all the different checkbox of file, hidden, radio, select, text area, submit. This add input will be used for all of that. So this will take in a name and an input, or I'm sorry, not an input yet. A name, type, options, and then the rendering type. So by default, we're going to say input. So $render type to input. So this is going to be relatively easy. In fact, what it's suggesting is pretty much what we need. So we're going to say $this underscore inputs. We're going to say the name. and that's going to be equal to an array. And we're going to take in the type, and then we're going to take in the options, and then the rendering type. And it's pretty much as simple as that. And then all we're going to do is we're going to say if, and then $type is equal to, and then we're going to say file. Then we're just going to set has file upload to true. You're probably not entirely sure what this is for, but when we actually render the inputs, that's what that's for. Oh, I just realized I put this in the wrong. I meant to put this inside. Okay, let me go fix this real quick. I meant to put that inside here. Okay. Oh, that's because it's not an actual if statement. Okay, I meant to put that inside there. So that's our add input. Relatively simple, super easy to do. Now we're going to add a valid, or actually we've already added our validator. So we're going to set some form attributes. All this is a setter. So we're going to say public function set form attributes, and this will take in the attributes. Just going to get rid of this underscore because this is not a... Okay, function. So, okay. So we're just going to, this is going to be a setter, so $this, and then form attributes. And so what this will do is this will actually allow us to set additional form attributes if we need to. And we're going like directly from the form. We're also going to set dynamic fields, and this will be the exact same. All it is a setter. And then we're going to do the set CAPTCHA, and then this will allow us to set a CAPTCHA. Now we actually can check to see. We can force this. We can say bool to force it to be a boolean. Okay. So that's the super easy one. Now here comes the more complicated. So we can create a validate function. So public function validates. And so you would call this to validate. So what we're going to do is we're going to say for each validators as, and then the name, and then the validator. And then we say for each validators as validator. And instead of this right here, we're going to say if not call underscore user underscore func. And then we're going to pass in the validator, and then errors name validator with the message, like so. And then we're just going to return empty this errors. So this will tell us if there are errors or not. Now, this error is here, which in fact we did create the public function to get errors to see if there are errors. So that's what we'll be able to check to see if there are errors directly from our application rather than having to call other things. So essentially we can say if not errors, then continue with the process of the script. Okay. Now we're going to say public function set form group wrapping. And what this will do is this will take an input name, and this will say $wrap, which by default will set to true. Whoops, it already did that. Okay. And then we'll say $, $class name. And by default, this will be form group, but you can pass any sort of class names that you want through. And all we'll do is we'll say this, and then wrap form group with the input name is equal to wrap, and then we'll do a ternary operator, class name false. Okay. Now we're going to create an add component, public function, add custom component, and this will take in an input name, and then we'll say type component, and then we'll pass in component like so, and then $position is equal to before the default. And so we'll say $this, and then custom components, we'll do the input name, the position as an array, and then, or an associative array, and then, we'll be adding to the positions array, and then a component, like so. Now, the next one is going to be quite similar to our add component. And this one will be, just get rid of the space real quick. This one will be public function, add general component. And then this will take in components and a position. And by default, I'm going to set this to, I'll set it to before by default. So, or you know what? I'll call this start. So what we'll do is if, and then $position is equal to start, we're just going to unshift the array for the general components. And then we'll create the general components array too, or add on to it. Okay. I think I'm going to end the video here, and in the next video, we're going to build out a render function. This render function is going to be pretty big, so stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.